Now, what we're about to do on this platform, we're about to have an open, honest conversation, but we are going to be respectful. Y'all know that's what we do on my page, on my platform, on my channel is we have those honest conversations, but I know this is going to do a lot of views. So I just want to put this out there. We're going to be respectful. Let me just, before we go further, your boy FERRO, I grew up in church. All right, I put that out there for a reason. I'm not in church currently consistently, but I got the ultimate respect for pastors, for preachers, for the deacons that do it the right way, that stand for something, that's OG energy. I'm telling y'all now, your boy FERRO's got respect for those brothers, so I don't disrespect them under no regard. But we are about to have an open and honest conversation that pertains to Nikola Jokic. So remember when I did a video a couple weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen, where there was a leak on the MVP voting, and I told you guys straight up and down, you know, I had no problems with Joel Embiid winning the MVP over Nikola Jokic. I picked it that way. I thought Embiid picked up some steam at the end of the season and won that award fairly from Jokic. I thought Jokic decided to rest his body, turn down the triple-double that he could have averaged this year to focus on the playoff run. And if you're looking at the Denver Nuggets right now, they look really good. Jokic looks sensational. It looks like what Jokic's decision that he made at the end of the season, it looked like it was a good one because he looks fresh and ready to go for a strong Denver Nuggets postseason run. Remember, though, in that video, I told y'all there was one disrespectful thing that happened to Jokic, and I didn't like it one bit. There was somebody out there that didn't have Jokic in their top 5 voting. Well, I told y'all this would come out, and we would find out who this mole was that didn't have Nikola Jokic, who pretty much averaged a triple-double, coming off of 2 straight MVPs, leading his Denver Nuggets to that 1 seed out west. First time they ever accomplished that feat, by the way. I said we would figure out who this person was somewhere down the line. Now, I even tried to shoot the person some bail. I said when the votes come out over time, maybe, just maybe, we find out that somebody made a mistake. They forgot about Jokic on their ballot. Or one of the ones I thought somebody actually brought this up to me. I thought it was a really good one was there's a Nikola Jokic that plays for the Miami Heat. Maybe, just maybe, whoever this voter was that didn't have Nikola Jokic in their top 5 maybe mistook Jovic for Jokic and didn't, you know, vote for the Joker on accident. But now we know it wasn't a mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been revealed that the mole that did not have Nikola Jokic in their top 5 this year for MVP ballot for the award was none other than ESPN's own Mark Jackson. I can't believe we're doing this right now. I cannot believe we're doing this right now, Mark. This is one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen. And y'all know I was trying to shoot whoever this was some bail. I was telling y'all most likely it's a beat writer. Most likely it's a guy that's either overworked or doesn't watch enough basketball as they should until around the playoff times. I said if it's a beat writer, they probably rolled with one of their guys, meaning they probably threw somebody like Larry Marketing on their MVP vote if it were a Utah beat writer or something along the lines of that, right? Well, Mark Jackson's not a beat writer. We know he watches at least a good amount of basketball because he covers a significant amount of basketball games throughout the season for ESPN. Mark gets no excuses. He gets no passes. He works for the worldwide leader, the people that got the biggest television contract with the NBA. There are no excuses for Mark Jackson leaving Nikola Jokic off of his MVP list. As a matter of fact, let's put his MVP reported ballot on the screen right now. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. So he went with Embiid 1. He went with Giannis 2. By the way, I don't even have a problem with that. I would have went Jokic 2. I don't even have a problem. Giannis was good enough to be 2 on somebody's ballot, right? He then goes Jason Tatum 3, which I totally disagree with. And to me, the biggest slap in the face, the absolute most ridiculous thing that I've seen on this man's MVP ballot, he had, bear with me, he had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder as his 4th spot on the MVP ballot, with Donovan Mitchell being number 5. which means he had at least SGA and Mitchell over Nikola Jokic on his MVP ballot. This is beyond disrespectful. Like I said, I'm going to keep it respectful to Mr. Mark Jackson. I respect my OGs. You know, Mark is a guy who put in the work as a player. Obviously, I ain't no point guard that got the history and allure behind my name like Mark Jackson. I never played the game professionally or anywhere close. Mark was a great assist guy. But come on, Mark. I'm not going to be disrespectful, but, bro, I can't defend this one. You want to know, it's things like this were the reason why I even, started making an access of Nikola Jokic videos over the years. I always thought the media was too disrespectful to Nikola. I did. And that's why we started showing love and I started making videos, not because I was placating to his audience. No. I felt like I was telling my truth. That's what you're going to get with FERRO. I'm always going to tell my truth. And once Nikola got to that elite level, that's when we become critical, because now I think it's fair to criticize a guy that's won back-to-back MVPs, which I've been critical. Some of Jokic's fans have not liked that, but they know at least I believe what I say. They know I was riding with Jokic for a very long time, and I continue to support him, obviously, and I'm going to continue to support his greatness. I'm not lying. I'm not being any type of way biased towards Jokic. I'm just telling the story of the NBA. And if you're telling the story of the NBA night to night and not showing what Jokic is doing, you're telling a lie. And Mark Jackson, even though it is an opinionated ballot, in my opinion, Mark Jackson not putting Jokic in his top 5 is biased. It's not truthful. It's somewhere along the lines of, I was not going to vote for Jokic no matter what he did. To not have the man in your top 5? How can you put together a ballot and put SGA over Jokic? Not only did the Oklahoma City Thunder not win a playoff series, a playoff game, they barely won a play-in game. They didn't make the playoffs. And that's your MVP? Huh? You see, one of the things, and I really didn't want to go here, but I am going to go here. One of the things that Mark Jackson has gotten a pass in his career as a coach, now turned analyst, was the Golden State Warriors. We've actually went out of our way to give Mark credit for the Golden State Warriors, even though he didn't get the job done. The Warriors dynasty actually took a turn up the day they moved on from Mark and moved on to Steve Kerr. And you got guys like me that have went out of my way over the years to defend Mark Jackson and say, you know what, bro? I understand Steve Kerr was able to take the Warriors to the next level and get them over the hump. But, it was really Mark that put them seeds down to grow that plant. He was behind the drafts of Steph, Clay, Draymond, the nucleus of that Golden State Warriors dynasty. It was Mark that first went out on a limb and said, I not only got one of the best shooters of all time, I got the best backcourt shooting of all time, period. It was Mark that went out on that limb. And obviously it didn't work out with the Warriors and Mark Jackson for whatever reason. But I've told y'all many times, I still cringe when I'm listening to an ESPN broadcast or watching a game and Mark Jackson is on the call alongside Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Breen, and they're doing a Warriors game. And obviously the Warriors have been great over the last 10 years, so a lot of these games have been playoff games, big-time games, championship-winning games for Mark Jackson to sit there and look at something that he helped create. I got to go the opposite way. What about the other side of this, though? And because Mark voted to not have Jokic in his top 5, I'm going to bring up the opposite for once. Maybe we give Mark entirely too much credit. Whether you think Mark would have been able to get over the hump one of these years and get a championship with Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, you surely don't think he would have won back-to-back, do you? Because the Warriors were able to do that. You don't know if he would have been able to recruit Kevin Durant, because Steve Kerr was a part of that, to get Kevin Durant to come to Golden State which got them back-to-back championships. You're not giving Mark that credit, are you? Maybe he would have been. Maybe he could have recruited KD. Maybe not. Do you believe Mark would have been able to beat LeBron James the way he was playing in 2015 and 2018, the years that the Cavs lost to the Warriors under different scenarios? You giving Mark that credit? He would have beat one of the greatest, if not greatest, players of all time. You giving him that credit too? What if the Warriors dodged a bullet and letting Mark go? I'm painting another scenario for y'all. This would have never come up if I would have never seen this disrespectful and distasteful ballot by Mark Jackson on Nikola Jokic. Maybe sometimes we give Mark a little too much credit because we're really giving him credit for something he never accomplished. You know, Steve Kerr, say what you want about him. You can say he walked into one of the easiest jobs in NBA history, coaching a guy as great as Steph Curry, got to coach a guy that's great like Kevin Durant, a great mind like Draymond Green, and a great shooter like Klay Thompson, excuse me. But I can also say this. Steve Kerr not only walked into a good situation, but he took it to the next level. Go look at the numbers. Steve Kerr's on one of the most remarkable runs we've ever seen as a head coach in his first 8, 9, 10 years. When he's got his team healthy, he doesn't lose in the Western Conference. Period. So, hey, Mark, you brought this conversation up on your own. I think it's very disrespectful that Jokic didn't make your top 5. I am shocked and disappointed that it's your ballot because that's just, to me, I wasn't voting for Jokic no matter what he did. This year, he could have averaged a triple-double. You still weren't going to vote for him. And look, Jokic was going to lose whether or not Mark had him as number 1 or not. He was going to lose if you go do the numbers. But the fact that Jokic couldn't crack this man's top 5, to me, that seems biased. And that's disappointing from a guy like Mark that I've respected on these calls. I don't know if I can ever listen to his broadcast the same again. I don't know if I can listen to his analytical breakdown the same again. You got a front row seat, literally, to that man's greatness throughout the regular season. You got to see Denver countless times perform, and the one glue piece as they worked Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray back into their lineups, the one centerpiece was this big dude that pretty much runs point forward for that Denver offense. And I'm not saying you had to vote him over Embiid. Embiid had a phenomenal season. I'm not even saying you had to vote him over Giannis. I can see your argument. I had Jokic too. I can see your argument for Giannis too, though. But when we get into Tatum, Mitchell, and then the most egregious one to me, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not taking anything away from the caption god. He is the caption god, by the way. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you can go do any metric you want. Has no argument any which way over Jokic as most valuable player. And Mark Jackson, that's very disappointing, man. That's very disappointing.